Hey, welcome back everyone. We are the 9th of September, Tuesday the 9th. And this morning was clear and now we have a few trails in the sky, big lengthy trails. Few trails, nothing too drastic. So yes. Oh, we've got one popping up now. Let's have a look. Maybe we could track this aircraft. Here it is. Where are you two, mate? There you are. Okay, let's see if it's coming from a nozzle. That's full zoom. No, it looks like it's coming from the engine. And it's given off a persistent trail. Sorry, I'm trying to keep the camera still as much as I can. Let's zoom out. Let's have a look. So far at the overall landscape of the sky. Are they going to be blocking out the sun today then? We shall see. That's a lengthy trail, isn't it? Look at that. X marks the spot. So, should we track that aircraft and talk about that one there flying? Let's do it.
So this is the aircraft right here. It's a Ryanair flight and it's travelling to Dublin to Malta, I believe. This is the actual aircraft right now. Yes, it is. Just double checking. So let's zoom in and see if it is in Ryanair flight. Now pay attention to the aircraft itself. It's blue underneath. Right, let's do this quickly before it flies over.
Here it is. Here's the Ryanair flight. Let's zoom in and let's see if it's blue underneath. Yes, it's blue. It's a Ryanair flight, and you can see it's actually coming from the engine and not a nozzle. Now, like I said before, if it's coming from the engine, it's saying, basically it's showing you right there that there is a gap between the engine and the trail being formed, so that's an indication it's coming from the engine. And if it was a nozzle, you should see it coming straight out the nozzle. Now, it's given the impression that something's being sprayed, isn't it? If I go back, look. Isn't it? When you look at it, it looks like it's being sprayed. But this is a commercial airline, and not a tanker, so to speak. Let's zoom out. Let's have a look. Okay. It's decent enough trail. Why is it fading in that area there? See, it's all faded. Doesn't make any sense. There we go. Here you are. It's following the same path as those trails. Trails are spreading out. There we go. Obviously the sun, as it's rising in that distance there, it makes the trails more visible, more brighter. Excuse me. Excuse me. There we go. It's a bit of a traily morning. Bad plane. Let's track the humidity. And let's see whether or not it's high enough for these trails to persist. Bear in mind, it is a very smallish area. Look at that, it's doing a U-bend. Anyway, let's see if the humidity is at the right percentage for these trails to persist in the sky. So we are following the mainstream aspect. Or conclusion. Or theory. But yeah, oh look at the trails, it's gone a bit bubbly like, look at that. That's awesome. I love days like this.
I'm back on windy.com. I'm just using this for the time being, and I may use some other sources as well. Oh, there's another bloody plane coming. Hold on. Right, okay, so here we have humidity right here, and the base level is taken from 30,000 feet. Now, percentage around about, I would say 60%, so we're talking about this area right here. So you can see the colorization at the bottom, so that's the color code. You can track between percentage. It's too low. It's too low for trails to persist. And there's another one flying over right now.
Because, like I mentioned before, the mainstream media says, well, this is like ChatGPT or whatever news source you actually go and follow, which people in the chemtrail community don't actually do. It's saying that for trails to persist in the sky, the humidity needs to be around about 100%. Some say between 60 and 100%, but at the moment it's saying 90 to 100%. and it is currently, I would say, around about 55 to 60%. It's too low for trails to persist. So again, the mainstream media aspect, it's not running true. Now that trail's persisting. Let's track this aircraft right there. Is it going to be a trailing morning? Let's see. Right. Let's find you, mate.
This aircraft is a Ryanair flight and is going to Corfu to Shannon, whatever it's called. And it's travelling at 38,000 feet. So yeah, it's at the altitude for a trail to persist. But again, the humidity is too low. It's too low. It might be going up, or there's just like a pocket of humidity in that immediate area. Just a very small area, what I'm coming across at the moment. But yeah, that is the flight that given off that trail. So what we've got so far as an overall perspective, it's only in a very small area what we can see. Okay, X marks the spot to a certain degree. I mean, look at that there. Is that a discharge? Was that meant to be done on purpose? Did he switch the spray or switch on and off just to make that? Alright, just asking questions, you know. But nevertheless, it's trailing to a certain degree in this immediate area right here. Now, this aircraft, I can see right there. Let's see if that is at the same altitude, because I see a lot of videos online of planes, two planes flying, one's going off a trail, one in, and I think it's to do with the overall altitude of the aircraft, which it needs to be above 25,000 feet to give off a persistent trail. Let's have a look. Right, this is travelling at 38,000. That should give off a persistent trail. It should do, if that is the right one, or this one. So these two aircraft are travelling pretty much in unison. I think it's this one. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think it's that one I'm seeing at the moment. 38,000 feet. Let's have a look. Right, here's the aircraft. Has it got a blue tag? Because it might be the wrong aircraft. Yeah, it might be the wrong aircraft, it's hard to tell. Yeah, I think it's the wrong one. Thing is, it's kind of hard. There's so many planes in the sky at the moment. But yeah, if that looks like that aircraft is high enough to give off a persistent trail, why isn't it giving off a persistent trail if it's travelling at 38,000 feet? See? I've always asked that question when it comes to tracking these aircraft. Are they at the right altitude? And it was in that area, so it should have given off a trail. So is this sprayed on purpose to block out the sun? Or it's toxic poison? I doubt that very much. I fucking won't be out in it otherwise. Let me enjoy my morning. Oh dear, the sunflowers are all... I tell you what, we had a hell of a hailstorm yesterday. Anyway, back to the trails. Let's see what happens for the rest of the day. And I'm talking about the rest of the day, so I popped my head out. Oh, bear in mind, we've got a UFO congressional hearings. I'm not going to call it UAP, I'm going to call it UFO, which I shall be going live, which will be well past that, but I'll put a little thing in the description so you can go see the live stream. A short time has passed, and so far, the planes are still coming. Don't worry about that. Oh, that's a good shot, look at that. Let's do a full zoom. Oh, I'm losing it. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, it's too low to go off a persistent trail, but anyway, nevertheless, the trails, I think, this maybe, we've got one there as well, the rest has gone off in the distance, but is it going to block out the sun? So what else can we observe in the sky? Well, we do have this massive cloud, which one could say is a cirrus. Could be trail spread out, I don't know. But yeah, if we're saying that this, what we're observing right here, is a trail, look how it's spread out. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom in. Look how thin it is. You need to do a multitude of trails to really blanket the sun out. You can actually see it there, popping its head through me. There we go. So yeah, the point is that to really block out the sun completely with trails, you would need to continuously spray. The whole entire landscape of the sky would be covered from trail to trail to trail, from horizon to horizon.
But we don't see that. I haven't seen that in quite a while, in all honesty. But yeah, the trails become very thin once they spread out. And that's just one out of a very small portion. Now, I think this is a cirrus, to be honest with you. I'll put some photographs on here just to sort of prove my point. I remember when I said cirrus is the same altitude as the trails. So once you find cirrus, you're going to find trails. So yes, as soon as you've got cirrus, you're going to find trails. And that is one thing I observed for the past 4 years of looking up in the sky and tracking, and also learning about clouds as well, because clouds do exist. They're not fake and gay, and they are a real thing, and they're not nefarious harbingers of doom, okay? I'm not that paranoid. But according to the chem believers, there's only one type of cloud. I mean, people that say that, it's just they haven't really done research into what clouds are. Just saying. We'll track that plane in a sec, but that's that overall trail. Look at it. Yes, it's spread quite big and quite wide, but it's very thin. That's not going to block the sun out. Right, let's have a look at this aircraft. Who are you, mate? Let's have a little look. We've got any patterns on the bottom side of the plane, or the wings, or the engines? Right, it's given off a persistent trail. Let's track and find out what this aircraft is. This aircraft right here is a commercial airline. I know the fact that I can't pronounce it right, so I'm not going to say it. And it's travelling from San Francisco to Frankfurt. Travelling at 39,000 feet, so is that the right altitude? So here we have the aircraft. So it's very, very high. Very high. There you go. But in all honesty, if you look, really, it hasn't give off a persistent trail in that area there. It's made a slight gap. Have a look at that. But I saw it giving off a persistent trail in that area, and now that's disappeared. Right, okay. Is that a discharge? What's going on there? Again, it's coming from the engine. You can't see the spray nozzle. Zoom in a bit more. Yeah. And if you look where that trail is, that big one, hasn't really lingered. It's only, it should have lingered like the whole way through, but it's only a small area. Bear in mind that aircraft is travelling, if it is the right aircraft, travelling at 39,000 feet, which is very high. So this trail might be a bit lower. I'm not too sure on that one. Actually, it looks like it's cut through. We'll give it time. We'll see what happens. It should split apart like this, if it is on the same altitude. But anyway, not that impressed. I would have thought you would give off a much thicker, more persistent trail. But you can see now it's in the sun. The sun's right there. Where are you two, sun? Yeah, there you are. You can see from the sun, it's actually making the trail more visible from the aircraft. Now it's got the direct sunlight on it. Bear in mind, it would have had it travel at 39,000 feet, so I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I think from my perspective and where I'm filming at the moment, it's a bit like a shadow, isn't it? How these trails can make a shadow. You just got to be at the right place, or the sun's got to be in the right position. So, yeah, just thinking on this very thoughtful morning. Anyway, so yeah, we've got that big, I think that's a Cirrus. I don't know, it could be a trail. We've got another aircraft up there. Look, see that? Why enough that giving up a trail? It's probably a bit lower, but anyway. I'm rambling on. And that's it. Okay. Makes no sense. I thought we were supposed to block out the sun. Look at that trail that's just been laid a moment ago. It's not really doing anything, isn't it?
this is what I mean by trails. There are so many different trails. Small trails, thin trails, long but thin, big trails, big thick trails. Like that, look. Fucking, what the hell was that supposed to be? To block the sun? What the hell is this all about? You know what I mean? Just makes no sense. So I'm gathering that's just a discharge. That's just speculation on my part. But these trails are very thin. Very thin. But we'll see, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's still early, it's just gone past 8 o'clock in the morning. Again, another recurring thing. First thing in the morning. Right. This is the sky so far. I've just gone to a location where it's quite high up. So you can see an overall perspective of the sky. So here it is so far. That. But is it necessarily going to block out the sun? Look at that. Aircraft right there. Should we track it? It's just giving off of that and that. Look at that. So you could say the spray went on and off. So it went on, off, and there it goes. So this aircraft right here is going from Dublin to Zurich. It's travelling at 35,000 feet and is Aer Lingus. Let's have a look. And here it is. So it's made a slight gap in that. So is that a discharge? But remember, when I saw that trail, it was all one thick trail. So why is that part disappeared? And that's definitely not a malfunction. I did see it spray a trail right there. So why is that bit disappeared? Right, we have another aircraft that's just flown by. And it's made this. Very, very thin. And there's another one as well, up there. Let's see what this aircraft is. It's kind of hard to tell, really. It's gone quite far in the distance, but you can tell sometimes through the tail, which is green. Can't see it. It looks like it's pluming out. You see how it's pluming out? Well, if you go up to here, it actually fins, but the whole thing looked like that. So why is that bit disappearing? Look. Why? That whole trail was like that. All the way across the sky. Now look at it. Oh no, we've got another one. We've got another one. Let's have a look. Okay, it's coming from the engines. Let's get a closer look on this aircraft. Let's have a look. Okay, it's hard to tell. It's got something on the end. Blue engines. And it's done. Or doing that. Right, that trail, what we just tracked, that one there, bloody useless. Look at it. Bloody useless. That's pointless, isn't it? Okay, right, let's track the aircraft. That one there. Here we have Aer Lingus again. Yes, I thought it might be, because you had the blue tail, which you can see right there. Well, it's green, and green engines. So there we go on that one. So there we go, it's travelling at 35,000 feet. Proper altitude for a trail to persist. There is actually one flying, I can see, which is 37,000 feet, which is not giving off a trail. We'll get to that in a second. But yes, that is the aircraft right there, as I spotted it before it came over, well, as I went onto the app, which I spotted the aircraft colorization before I went on tracker, so I knew it was that aircraft to a certain degree. But anyway, it's flying over, and let's see what it's doing so far. Okay, look at the trails that just went past. Okay, see that big thick one? You can just see it over there a little bit, but look, it's faded. Hold on a minute, I thought these trails were to block out the sun, but it looked like that though, isn't it? You saw that aircraft, there it is. That's what I was looking for, right there. So you can see that aircraft was giving off a pretty decent trail to a certain degree. This is the Aer Lingus. Okay, see, that's what it produced all the way through the sky, and now it's disappeared. My personal opinion, I think there's something to do with the atmosphere. It's got to be. Because trails should persist if it's being sprayed out of the aircraft.
But I just showed you the video of it going past, and it gave off a big thick trail. You can just see the ends of it there. But now it's gone into nothing. Right, okay, but I thought it was supposed to look like that. But now we have clear blue sky. Ask those questions. Oh look, cirrus with trails. So what's the outcome for today? Well, the trails are disappearing, innit? It's not really doing the job to block out the sun, but I want to go on Chemtrail Facebook page just to see the people losing their shit in the UK. Because it might be worldwide, it might be throughout the UK, I don't know. Let's have a little look. I fancy a laugh, to be honest with you. Moments have passed. The trails have gone off in the distance, most likely disappeared. There's an aircraft up there, and I can see, you didn't be able to see it in the camera, but it's travelling very, very high. And I can tell that should give off a trail. I get to understand the altitude of the aircraft to a certain degree, but I know that should give off a trail, but it's not. We got some cirrus. Hang on a minute, let's track that aircraft. Right, this aircraft that is not giving off persistent trails is travelling at 39,000 feet. That should give off a trail. It should do, shouldn't it? Maybe the humidity's gone, maybe they stopped spraying. So this is obviously a Ryanair flight, and it's definitely travelling at that altitude where it should give off a persistent trail, but it isn't. So maybe the humidity has changed. Let's track the humidity once more time. Here we go. Humidity, 30,000 feet. And it's, I can say it's actually gone up. Probably about 80%. Between 80 and 90. So the humidity, so the percentage of humidity is still probably not high enough, dependent on what website you look at that's tracking the humidity. So maybe this one's wrong, not too sure. So the aircraft is now gone off in the distance, which is travelling at 39,000 feet, which is the altitude where a persistent trail should form. I was trying to think then, but what else have we got in the sky? A bit of cirrus, plus this. Right, I did have plenty of footage of it before I deleted it by mistake, but this here, this white mass, which is going to be shown up on the time lapse, I'm going to show that now, just to show that this is nothing to do with trails. Alright, this is a natural cloud. It's part of cirrus cloud. You can see part of cirrus. You got the whispery cloud over there, and you can see it actually forming right here as well. So the whole part of this is actually cirrus, which is going to make its way up towards me. You should see trails being formed in that area of the white haze, because that is the same altitude of the trails being formed. Persistent trails, chemtrails, whatever you want to call it. So we'll give it a bit of time, see what happens, but this should blanket the whole entire sky out, maybe in sections. Another thing that I've noticed is that you see some trails first, and then you see this massive white haze. Maybe it's a sign of moisture building up, and it's only like very short trails, kind of like we've been seeing this morning to a certain degree, but it's been very, very faint, very whispery. Very, very thin trails. So let's give it a bit of time and see what this, let's go out a little bit, the cirrus does. Look at that. Right, catch you in a bit. Right, what I've got here is a meteorological handbook for pilots and navigators, 2nd edition. And the date here is 1942, so this was way, way before the chems in the sky. So, nevertheless, but what I'm going to show you. Now, cirrus, remember the cirrus clouds I keep on mentioning? Remember, 1942, right? So the white haze can be contributed to this, what we're seeing here. And these are delicate forms of ice crystal clouds, which are very, very high up. So between 20,000 and 30,000 feet, which is where we're seeing the trails being formed. In fact, a lot of the trails being formed is above 36,000 feet. So you do get cirrus. I mean, 36,000 feet, that's above cruising, well, it's about cruising altitude, so you wouldn't really get clouds forming in that area, I believe, from what I've researched anyway. But just to show you, look, this was what we were seeing today. I'm going to put up the video on the side here so you can see that this is a natural cloud, and this is a cirrostratus sheet of fibrous cirrus near its edge. So here we have the cirrus, which is like the wispy clouds, and eventually you have the big sheet of cloud, which is the cirrostratus. So yeah, that would create a halo around the sun. So just to show you from 1942, look, this has happened before. It's a natural cloud. Now the
Cirrostratus will give a halo around the sun, which is otherwise known as a 22-degree halo. Sometimes like half a halo and stuff like that. So yes, that was a cirrocumulus. Remember, bubbly cloud, ultracumulus, which is the stripy cloud. Remember, this is 1942, and obviously that thin white haze, which doesn't produce a halo around the sun, is called altostratus. And there we go. So yeah, there's a lot of nimbostratus. There's like all different types of clouds here, guys. And this is from 1942, so there's nothing nefarious about it. The stripy effect I keep on seeing. Again, I keep seeing it's the roll cloud formations, which is a stratocumulus, according to this book. Remember, 1942. But once again, just to show you that, look, these clouds have happened before. It's nothing new. And especially this here. What we witnessed this morning, wasn't it? Exactly the same thing. 1942. Boom. Research.
Oh no! We have cumulus cloud. That has now blocked the white haze. Oh. Well, it's blocked everything. I mean, tell you what, that cumulus, my friends, will block out that sun. Hence, why it's gone all grey. So what's going to do the more sufficient job, I should say, of blocking out the sun? Well, obviously be this cumulus. One little trail right there. So yeah, okay, I was a bit disappointed. I was looking forward to that. Bastard clouds. God. A short time has passed, and so far, I keep saying that, the white haze is starting to appear. And look, you've even got a trail in the background. So maybe that cumulus, which is that puffy cloud right there, is now making its way to reveal the white haze again. Maybe, just maybe, it may produce a halo around the sun. Might not, which means it's a stratus cloud, which is the same perspective as what fog produces. As this white, thin haze, which can be contributed to cirrocumulus. Cirrostratus, sorry, which creates the halo around the sun. Cirrocumulus is this bubbly cloud. And the stripy clouds, which is known as altocumulus. And this is what's blamed on HAARP, even though you can trace it back through many, many decades. Right, first things first. Okay. A lot of people that are new to chemtrails, I just got to say the word, this is my part of my channel now. When you look at it, there's no escaping it, Nick. So yes, this is a page that I frequently visit. So this page is called Chemtrails UK, and on here you have over 21,000 members on this private page that post pretty much trails in the sky. And in some cases, for sure, it does look quite convincing. But it's photographs like this, okay? What's the moon doing out? Okay, I have seen the moon during the day. It's nothing. But it's photographs like this. All right, there's the moon. I've seen the moon all the time during the day. It's nothing crazy. Right. I always analyze what people are seeing around the UK and even around the world. This is England. I can tell by the pub and the signs here. I'm not too sure where it's actually taken, but nevertheless, if we have a look, this is what's happening at the moment. We've got this big white haze with trails. I remember what I said just a moment ago, that the fact that these trails are very thin. First things first. And this was taken about an hour ago. Secondly, we noticed that the trails started to appear, because this one has obviously got a lot bigger. But if you look at the background, you have all this white haze. And like I said previously, I always see trails being formed, and then you have this white haze start to approach. Now, the white haze is not necessarily to do with the trails in the sky, purely because you would see this massive amounts of trails in that immediate area of the white haze, because it's the same altitude, you see, as these trails. So that's one thing I take in consideration as well.
And these are very thin, whispery trails. They're not really there to do anything when you look at it. Here's some more photographs throughout the UK that's been taken about an hour ago. Let's just refresh the page just to see if anything else has popped up since that time being. No, nothing so far. So what I'm showing you is Lancaster. So that's way up north for me. So they're getting some trails as well. We'll do an overall perspective once we've finished this video right here. Once the day has ended. Well, for you, it'd probably be like 5 minutes. For me, it's another like 8 hours. So, nevertheless, everyone in the UK, to a certain degree, is experiencing trails. Yorkshire. There we go. There we go. Some more faint trails. Northampton. So, yeah, it's pretty much widespread. Here's some more. Lancaster. Taken this morning at 7 a.m. So, again, the same time I'm seeing these trails. Great start to the day. There we go. I think we've seen that one before. Some more trails. Now, this is interesting. Looks a bit chaotic, doesn't it? When you look at this. Yeah, this is interesting. It's days like this, guys, which I pay attention to, because this is extremely rampant, and it'd be really good to get a clear example of what the mainstream is saying, and it's basically combining the two, what the conspiracy is saying and what the mainstream is saying. I really have an overall perspective on what I'm actually seeing, because yeah, I would say this is rampant with trails. Is this something natural? Is it something to do with spraying? Now, I'm ignoring the people on the side here because they're most likely new to the community, and they just, again, regurgitated these talking points. You know, it was poison, and trust me, if that was poison, would the person taking the photograph be out in it? No, of course not. It's probably buggered off down Sainsbury's to do his shopping. I mean, come on. But again, it stays like that. And another thing is this. It's pretty much what I'm proving my point this morning. One trail is actually forming and one trail actually isn't. And yes, you do get two aircraft that traveling at a different altitude. And until you actually go on a flight tracker yourself and find out, you can actually make an overall perspective of what the altitude is. Because remember, the altitude is very, very important when it comes to these trails. But I'm not saying this has been sprayed on purpose. Yeah, is that to do with harbour? I've seen that loads of times. Supercells. I'm finding a lot of fear mongering. A lot of, again, it's got the word HARP there. Stop weather modification, manipulating HARP, and Doppler of the sun dimming. It's stuff like this. It's comments like this in big caps. Weather warfare before it's too late. It's like these doomsday people. It's a bit like Dane Ringington. Oh, that bloody CGI crap. I'm finding it absolutely ridiculous that the fact that these people, okay, that's old technology, are putting this types of videos out, and is the same sort of content that, I mean, the fear mongering content that is pretty much the mainstream media is putting out about climate change. It's just the same thing. It's just, it's literally solidifying that the fact that something's going on. They're just showing bits and pieces of videos. I mean, what's this? Okay, we've got a typhoon. Okay, we've got a tornado. Like, that's never happened before. Do you understand what we're sort of witnessing here? It's just a bunch of scary music being put into this. I guarantee it's scary music. It's on mute at the moment. Listen, is this scary again at all? Fear mongering, fear, and it's just people just believe in it. Now, Don, no offense, mate, but come on. This is what I'm finding a lot with this community. Is a lot of misinformation, a lot of fear mongering. Look, I'm not denying chemtrails. I'm not denying it, but people in the chemtrail community don't know what they're actually observing in the sky in terms of what cloud formation is. Now, I want to go back out and have a look at that white haze to see what is actually done.
Should be blue. Because of the fucking moon.
Here's another one. So Gary
should be blue.
The bastards are out in force tonight.
All that shite up there,
Gary,
is all fucking man-made. None of that's cloud. No, hey Ellie, I'm not a fucking nut. It's certainly are. Look at that cunt up there, then.
So I sound a bit hypocrite then. But look, is that trail really going to block out the sun? If that's really toxic poison, why is Gary out filming it? See what I'm saying? Just to round off this episode, let's check out the satellite for that specific day. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see the satellite in all its glory. Right, okay, as we can see right here, we're going to focus our attention. In fact, let's focus our attention to the whole of the UK, but specifically my area right over here, southwest, right at the bottom of the UK right here. Right at the bottom where my cursor is, we're on the 9th of September. And let's do it to like 5:30. Obviously, it's dark. But remember, through the Facebook, Chemtrail Facebook page I was on, you can see in Manchester, pretty much in Lancaster, which is pretty much up here. So up north, you did have trails. So I've put the settings to be slow. So you can just see, once it comes up to around about 6:30, we started to see the trails forming. And I want to have a look at this whole perspective right here. Okay, we're coming up to 7:30. Let's stop at 7:30. Let's observe what we can see in the sky so far. So let's take the whole of the UK so far. Let's have a look at the landscape. Okay, big clouds so far, not too big, mostly in this sort of area, but it's all going to the east here. Right, trails. Let's look at the trails. It's kind of a little bit difficult to see, but I think Zoom Earth is the best website to actually find a decent analysis into what the clouds are doing. Right up here, okay, Manchester, this where the trails were pretty much rampant when I was on the Facebook page. All right, and this area here, not so much. Okay, we're going to go. Okay, see there, Manchester? And right over here where my cursor is where Lincolnshire is. So yes, they had a very traily day or traily morning up north in the UK. But is it going to block out the sun? Let's have a look. Let's see what these trails actually do. See it right here? Nice big one there. So all that is the trails. And eventually we had that blanket come in. So let's just go back to 7 o'clock and look at my area. So you can see up north, yes, they had a decent amount of trails. And my area right here, very, very thin. Remember, right, if you just take the southwest from Bristol to London, this whole area here, you know, it's a very, very small portion of the UK. It's so small. And you can see it's so faint. You can see actually, if I go back just slightly, hold on. Yeah, you can see the trails just over there. So at that time, the trails were passing, and eventually that massive cumulus started to come in. So what's going to block out the sun more? All that, or the small little trails in the morning, which you can see pretty much up there. And this, I think that the community alone really needs to take in perspective on what they're seeing, and just don't jump to conclusions that every time you see a small trail, thin trail, wispy trail, that is going to block out the sun, because you can see the amount of analysis that I've done. I've done like 34 parts, 4 years worth. I mean, really focused in on this year alone. And the trails are not blocking out the sun. It really ain't. I mean, look at this massive amount of cloud right here. It's huge. It dwarfs the whole entire UK. But the trails are very, very thin. Look, let's just go back to where it was quite rampant up near Manchester, right here. Let's take it to like 6:30. And let's see what these trails are doing, because look, you see them forming there. There they are. See? And let's look to see what they do. And bear in mind, it's a very, very small portion of the UK. Very, very small portion. I want to go back just one more time. I really want to focus on this area with the trails. And let's see what these trails do. And this is what the chemtrail community are not doing. They're not really doing analysis at all. They're just jumping to conclusions because Tom, Dick and Harry says it on Chemtrail Facebook page. Look, here's the trails. There it is right there. Still going past Leeds. At this point, it's spread out, but I would argue you're getting a natural cloud forming that's coming in. See this right here? When we say it's HARP clouds, I'm like, you just can't. Every time you see a ripple in the sky, you can't blame it on HARP. You can trace these clouds going back, way before HARP. I mean, the earliest book I got is from the 1930s with this sort of what's called altocumulus billow clouds. But let's just go back one more time to around about 8 o'clock and see what these trails are doing. Is it going to block out the sun? So the small wispy trails we can see here, it's very, very small portion. And if you just have a look for the remainder of the day, if I just skip ahead, look what comes into fruition. This massive amount of cloud, which you can see right here. That dwarfs England. And just one more thing. If the whole of Manchester, or this part of the UK, was sprayed to block out the sun, just this area alone, and if I zoom out to the map, is that going to combat climate change for the world? Look, it's literally a speck. And is it going to combat climate change for the UK? It's just a tiny speck of the whole landscape. It's time to think, guys. This is not me having a go. I just think now people need to have a proper perspective, because the community and people that are new to the trails in the sky, I'll just jump into conclusions because it's the regurgitating talking points, and it is like an echo chamber. And look, I've been there many, many times, and now I just have to have a proper analysis and a proper perspective what I'm seeing in the sky. So the trails block out the sun on the 9th of September 2025. No, it didn't. It's actually trailing at the moment. It's actually been a couple of weeks after, because we have no trails whatsoever. Yes, it's just been raining and raining and raining. But nevertheless, it's still not a failed experiment. So I'll see you next time on the Cosmic Twilight on YouTube, or Investigate with Nick on Rumble. See you very soon.